Trying to remember if I fixed the outro.
I heard sound that time, at least.
Yeah, the intro's been fine. I can't remember if I fixed the outro. So it'll be a surprise to everybody at the end of the show. It'll be a surprise.
I can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a busy day of tech, and by busy, I mean there's not...
Well, I don't know that there's anything going on today specifically, but there are a few interesting things to discuss. Mary Jo posted the rationale behind the 20H1 build happening. There's some fun USB 3.2 stuff to consider. The other thing is, maybe I certainly there's a hole in my memory from this week because I kind of lost a day.
You sure it's just this week?
If not more than a day from traveling back from Barcelona. But when I look at the news from Mobile World Congress, which, by the way, is a show that's attended by 100,000 people, it's humongous. It really doesn't seem like there was a lot going on this year.
I mean, it's just...
Am I missing something?
I think we're just so jaded by it. It's just... Here's another phone that's all display with a little notch or a hole, and they're all running the exact same Qualcomm processor. They're all running roughly the same version of Android. They're all running roughly the same amount of RAM. They all have somewhere between 3 and 17 cameras.
There's a notch of whatever kind, or maybe a hole in the screen. It's wherever there are 1 to 17 cameras, depending on who we're talking about.
I mean, a lot of companies had these foldable things, which were neat, but they're not... You're not going to go out and buy these things. They're still in like that I have too much money novelty phase, I think.
Yeah. Like the that I'm Rich app, right? Which is like,
I mean, it's people. Somebody is going to buy the Samsung Galaxy Fold and they're going to flaunt it around, but that doesn't make it a good device. It just makes it a new device.
Yeah, we are jaded.
I mean, the displays are plastic. I mean, it's not like.
Yeah, even Apple was originally going to use plastic on the first iPhone, and very late in the development switched to glass because Steve Jobs kept scratching the screen when he put it in his pocket.
Yeah, well, the other thing is too is you can't really bend glass. We don't have the technology, right?
Well, Samsung does. But yes.
I should say multiple times in the user's hand. You can't. It's not known for its dexterity or whatever.
Which is weird because a lot of people put phones in their butt pocket and then sit down.
Yeah, I mean, people gave Microsoft a lot of crap for the whatever hinge thing on the Surface Book for having a little gap, and here's Samsung with a phone with a gap, and you're like, oh, it's great, and until you sit on it.
Yeah.
And it turns into a grilled cheese.
Yeah, one of those cheap gas station grilled cheeses too that come in those little plastic triangle containers.
Nothing says quality like a hot dog rolling around on some rollers for multiple hours.
There is one thing that's worse than that, which is other foods in that shape so they can go in that machine. So you've probably seen this at like a 7-Eleven or something. They'll have like a hamburger in the shape of a sausage or a hot dog so it can roll around. Jeez. Yikes.
Yeah, so Paul, I've been keeping a secret from you for.
Oh no!
It's like I think you were you might faint and knock over that tapestry behind you.
I'll brace myself. All right,
I think we're on day 19. So, do the words Whole30 mean anything to you?
Whole30.
Yeah.
It sounds like a diet.
It's more of an eating lifestyle, as my wife.
Oh, I was okay. So I was right.
Yeah, no, you're actually right.
Yeah.
So I'm only bringing this up. If you don't care about foods, you can probably just shut off the thing now. We'll catch you tomorrow. But it's very similar to I think what you do. So it's not a restrictive like you can eat.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. I don't mean to sabotage this.
Yes.
Why would you ever go on a diet?
Because, well, it's not a diet. Like, it's supposed to be...
Okay, why would you change your diet? Like, in other words, I've heard the conversations you and your wife have, and you have to secretly eat tots when you're away and blah, 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 whatever. But one of the wonderful things about being thin, which you obviously do not appreciate, is that you can eat or drink whatever you want, basically, and not worry about. Like, my wife is like this, right? She's really thin. She eats garbage. Right?
Yeah.
Now, she eats a lot of good stuff, too. But, I mean, she can eat stuff like she can eat bread and chocolate and drink beer and all this stuff that I cannot do. You know,
So this is how the conversation went in my house.
I
My
know,
wife
well,
my
I know
wife
this
came
came
home
from
and
your
said, "Hey,
wife.
I think we're gonna do Whole30," and I said, "Okay," and that was
Okay.
that was it. Basically, all it does is it just cuts out the breads, the sugars. It's supposed to the idea behind it isn't so much to change your eating habits for
Hmm.
like forever. It's supposed to expose you to new foods or different eating meals that are healthier. And
Okay.
so for 30 days, what you do is there's nothing that's processed, nothing with added sugar, no breads, and the hardest one for me is no cheese.
No cheese is a weird one. I mean,
It
depending on the
yeah,
cheese, like American cheese, which is, not good cheese, but it's the type
right.
of cheese I would put on a hamburger,
Hmm.
actually has a minimal amount of carbs in it.
Yeah.
But
It's
cheese, generally speaking, in a like good cheese,
yeah,
in a
it's
low
more
carb
so I
diet is
think
fine.
because you're not supposed to have milk while you're doing
Yeah. Well,
this.
milk is terrible for you. Yeah. That's
Right. And so milk
milk is,
is in
yeah.
cheese, and then that's why
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
cheese. So I've just been eating a
Okay.
lot of meats and veggies and whatever. And
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's good. So, it's interesting. I just having just gone. So you've been doing this for how long? I'm sorry, 19 days?
We're on day 19.
Day 19. Okay. A couple of things come to mind when you talk about this. One of the things I remember, this is from years ago, was that dietary changes are really good for losing weight. Like, you could do something goofy, like we would do a home swap in Europe, and
Hmm.
you would eat a lot of things that people would think would be bad for you. But because the diet was so different from your normal diet, that kind of tricks your body into behaving differently, and you actually can lose weight even though you might eat more or
Yeah.
eat lots
I
of
mean,
things that
that's.
people would think were high calorie, whatever.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, anything that reduces your consumption of sugars in any form, including carbohydrates and processed foods, it's all good. I will say, like we were just in Barcelona, and people feel the need to comment on my diet every time I post
Yeah.
pictures of food. They'll be like, "Oh, is that a keto piece of bread?" And it's like I almost universally will respond with something really nasty and then just delete all of it. But my response usually takes the form of something like, "I am with other people, and just because I took a picture of food doesn't mean that I ate it."
Yeah.
I don't know why I have to keep explaining this to people, but I even included a picture of my wife in one of these things. Like you get a bunch of little tapas type things on bread. I don't eat the bread, like I eat the thing on top of the bread, whatever. But anyway, I always get these stupid comments. I'm not on a ketogenic diet. I'm on a low carb diet, so I can
Yeah.
have
Well,
carbs.
and you can't. The thing is too is you can't have an unhappy life. I mean, if you limit yourself,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
unless it's for legit medical reasons, like if I eat a piece of bread, I will die. I mean, you can't, especially in
Yeah.
social settings. You have to have fun in life. And if oh my god, if you eat in a French fry, you're not gonna die. Like nothing's gonna happen. But I totally
No,
get
no,
trying to
it's right,
live.
right. So
On a,
I think we all have. You said the hard thing was not bread. It was
it's
what was it?
cheese.
Oh, cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it
So
would have been sugar, like candy or chocolate, but no,
yeah,
not at all.
cheese is interesting. I could live without cheese. I don't have a problem not eating potatoes. I don't have a problem not drinking beer, which is
Hmm.
really interesting because for the 2 or 3 years leading up to this diet, I routinely checked in beer everywhere I went,
Yeah.
and Untapped, and I haven't had a full glass of beer in however long it's been, 2.5 years. I don't know. It's been a long
Hmm.
time. And at the time when I try to drink beer, I find it very, very filling, and whatever. But my problem is actually bread, and I love bread. I've always loved bread,
Hmm.
and I just bought some low carb bread, which I read an article that tried to explain why the net carbs in this thing was actually 0. That's not actually true. The net carbs is actually 7.
Hmm.
But if you're on a strict, what most people would call a ketogenic diet, which is like under 20 grams of carbs in a day, which I would say I almost always do hit,
Hmm.
you could technically have at least a couple pieces of this bread and you'd be fine. So like this morning, for example, I had eggs on toast, which is a food item I have not consumed in 2.5 years, 3,
Yeah.
whatever that's been, and it was delightful. Even though, as bread, it's not necessary.
Right.
It's sort of, it is to bread what American cheese is to cheese. Like
Hmm.
it's, but it has the crunch of bread, which is what I miss.
That consistency is what that's been the cheese thing. It's granted I like the
Yeah.
flavor of cheese, but it's that
Well,
consistency.
how do you consume cheese? Like, when you say you miss cheese,
Like on a
what are you
hamburger,
eating?
like on a hamburger.
Oh, yeah. That would be terrible. I don't why hamburgers without cheese is terrible.
No, and it is, and that's what I'm gonna have for dinner. Although, but granted, what this has gotten us to do is one of the reasons why I think my wife wanted to do this is that we were pretty set in like, okay, on Sunday we can make a beer can, we can do a roasted chicken on the grill. Like we had like kind of like a set
Yeah.
meal pattern.
Oh yeah, it gets boring and
And it gets boring, and
repetitive.
so and then what happens is we get bored, so then we're like, let's just go out to eat, and then that's
Yeah. That you're fraught with problems when you go out to eat for sure.
right. And so for a while, for years, we said we'd only go out to dinner one night a week. That's it. And then as we have kids or had a kid, that kind of we deviate, whatever. And so now we have more food options that
you
are
should
healthy.
listen. Don't apologize for,
No.
No, I mean even to yourself. Like don't like.
Yeah.
I have done what I think is a fairly strict kind of thing, but I think I kind of have to. Like I would balloon out horribly if I didn't eat the way I eat. In fact, I could still improve what I'm doing, but I mean, I often think, all things being equal, it would be healthier to occasionally splurge on things and to, well, I guess I do kind of like, Thanksgiving, I'll eat stuffing and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I'm not like a Puritan or whatever, but I mean, you guys are thin and healthy. You really don't, other than variety and stuff and an obvious general desire to be healthy. I mean, if you're going to go out to eat and there's like tater tots and French fries and
Oh yeah, I'm gonna eat. I mean,
beer, of course you are. I mean, and you should never feel bad about that.
Nope.
Although I will rip into you every single time you do it because, I mean, I'm a terrible human being and that's how I operate. But I mean, mostly it's jealousy because I know I can't do it and it really pisses me off. But yeah, I mean, sure.
The funny thing is though is I won't talk about my wife's side of it because I like to remain married, but I dropped like 10 pounds like real quick.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just because of the no carbs. So if anybody's out there and thinking, man, what's an easy way to just lose weight? Seriously, it's the carbs. Like, and it was just bread.
Yeah, for a lot of people, taking that step is I shouldn't say it that way. Knowing what to do is very easy. Doing it may be hard, but
it's very
for a lot
hard.
of people, if you drink any soda at all, if you're eating ice cream at night, if you're, alcohol is an obvious target as well, especially beer. I think for a lot of people, taking the step to take is obvious. You may not want to do it or whatever.
Yep.
I would say for you, it's a little more complex because I actually think you guys do eat healthy for the most part and can afford to not eat healthy if you want to. But yeah, and so that's interesting. I mean, I think most people, you lose weight. Yeah, you make a dietary change, you're going to lose weight. The trick is the long-term part of it because you get very excited with the early success and then it tapers off and then it even reverses oftentimes. And like I just went to the doctor. I weigh exactly the same as I did in August, which was exactly the same as I weighed in, I don't know, April or whenever the last time was before that. It's been like, I want to lose weight, like I'm not where I want to be, but it's hard. You kind of plateau and that's what happens. And
Sure.
I'm at the point now where I don't want to cut out anything else. And well, like a trip like the one we went on, like a big part of that trip, big reason my wife went was for those eating and drinking experiences, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to see a church again or whatever,
There's only a
tourist
couple in Europe, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been to this city several times, so it's like we know the food there is awesome. It's one of the biggest reasons to go. And what are you going to do? You're going to be like a strict weirdo about food when you go on a international trip? I kind of was actually, but that's because of the stuff I can't eat. There's so much of it that's good. One of the guys who commented on like a keto thing, every single item in that picture was all seafood. It's like, dude, this is completely keto.
Yeah.
I'm not on a keto diet, but if I was, this would be fine too. It's fine,
Yeah.
So, well, that's amazing. So, but how did you, I guess I vaguely heard of it. I figured it was a diet, but how did you arrive at this one?
My wife goes to the gym, and I think all her friends were doing it, so we jumped off the bridge too. I think is the appropriate analogy there.
If all of your wife's friends were anti-vaxxers, would you become an anti-vaxxer as well?
I'd be divorced raising a kid by myself, I think is what would be the. Actually,
Right.
my kid's vaccinated, so I don't. Unless she turns into a vampire and can like extract that immunity somehow. I don't.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. And then the other thing, which this is just more of a whatever personal thing. Like, so my wife last year, the Apple Watch, as much as I like this thing, whatever, it has monthly challenges, health challenges. And
Yeah.
last year, my wife closed it every single month, and that was,
Wow.
which is
Sure.
it gets tough. And so, like, my goal for 2019 is to try to do that. And I'm a little nervous because I'm already gaming the system. Because what it does is it looks at what you did the previous month
Yeah.
and then amps it up a little notch. Like
Right.
this month, I had to do 520 calories every day, which isn't necessarily a lot, but it's not a
Actually,
little either.
that's pretty serious. I mean,
Yeah. And so,
and by the way, it's only February.
right. This is the problem. See, you picked up on it.
I don't know if you know how many months there are in a year, Brad, but
By the time
even
we
if that
hit,
thing went up like 2% every month, I mean,
by the time we hit December, I'm going to be running a half marathon. I think is what's going to happen here.
yeah.
And so I deliberately have. I'm going to hit the challenge today. I'm going to honestly. I have to get 15,200 calories. I'm going to get like 201, then take this thing off and put it on the charger for the rest of the day.
Right.
I don't even know where I was going.
Dude, it will be.
It'll be
sometime
hard.
next week before I get back on normal exercise. Like, if you look at my Fitbit stuff, I didn't exercise while I was there, but I walked 15 to 23,000 steps a day. It was great. So you can see my little activity thing, and there's like 3 days where it's like really high. And then since I've been home, it's like flatlined because I spent half of yesterday in bed. And I mean, I'm upright today, but I'm not going to, I'm sorry. I'm not, there's no way I'm going to work out today. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it.
It'll be it'll be a slow hell. I think is what it's. I'm worried about tomorrow because that's when I find out what that challenge is. And sometimes they can be easy, and sometimes, like for example, my wife's this month was she only had to double her exercise goal on 15 days, which that's not too difficult because she goes to the gym more than that, but I go every other day roughly.
Yeah.
So that would have been easy. I could have just done some extra workouts at the gym, fine. But the average, it's like this average speed cameras in Europe.
It's like a gamification of exercise thing, which is probably a good way to get people to do it. I mean, that's how like Duolingo works for language learning or whatever. Whatever motivates you, I guess. Your wife to me seems very motivated. I in some ways I feel like she doesn't need these prompts. Like she was going to exercise.
Oh no,
she runs. And,
she is a closet competitive freak.
Yeah.
She won't. Yeah. She so this whole 30 thing, we've both looked at each other and be like, we could stop, but no, neither one of us wants to be the one that's going to say, "Oh, okay, I'll go eat that pizza first."
This is you'll see why why this came into my head, but sometime in the past month or so. Oh, no, not sometime in the past month or so. Exactly a month ago, I bought some board games for my wife for her birthday because we have sort of talked. We spend nights, we'll watch TV for a couple hours every single night. It's like maybe there's something we could be doing that's a little more challenging for our brain or, than just watching TV. And so there's a variety of different directions you could go with that, but I figured I'd start small. And I know there's a big push these days toward what I'll call analog games, And so I went back and I researched this. I bought Scrabble because I know it's something she would like, and she plays Words with Friends or Wordament or whatever it is, with friends and family and stuff. And then I bought a new kind of game that I'd never heard. It's actually kind of a train game, which I think you'll appreciate. But it's it doesn't matter what it is. But so the first time we played Scrabble, she killed me, and my brother-in-law, was making fun of me because my wife is so much smarter than I am and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, she plays this like game on her phone like every day. Like she's basically playing Scrabble every day. Yeah. It's kind of unfair, whatever. But, the train game, the first one we played, I guess actually she technically won, but we were kind of figuring it out. So it wasn't really like an official game or whatever. So the second time around when we played the train game, we had figured out the rules. We just played it for real, and I actually won that game. And then we played Scrabble last weekend, And I barely beat her, basically, but I did beat her. But what became obvious at the end of the game was she's keeping the score, right? And we're kind of going, and I'm like, I don't really care. To me, I'm just doing this to pass the time. I actually don't care. Like, I'm not competing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not trying to lose, but I mean, I know she's really good at this. The chances of her beating me are very high. I don't care. But over the course of it, and especially as we got toward the end, all of a sudden it became really obvious to me. She's trying really hard to beat me. Like, she is upset that I am winning this game. And I was like, are you serious? Like, why would this bother you? You know? But she was upset about it. And I was like, yikes. Like, what? Like, who cares? Like, I mean, we're just passing time here. But I guess she took it really seriously. I don't know. Like, God forbid, I'm not going to like go out running with her now. She'd probably trip me or something, push me into a truck, you know.
My wife, I had to have told this, but whatever. My wife and I went running exactly one time, time, and she was kicking my ass, and like halfway through, I just turned off and just ran home.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, for clarity's sake,
if you had a tail, it would still be between your legs.
Oh yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Like, my wife now runs half marathons because it's like easy and fun, and
yep.
She's like, "Let's go running." I'm like, I don't want to fight today. Like that.
I'll tell you what. Why don't you tell me where you're going to end up, and I'll be there with a drink.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
that's weird.
You got anything else on this whatever episode?
No. Just this shouldn't impact anything, I hope. But after many back and forths with my wife and also with my friends, because I'm supposed to go to Boston. We've got a friend's 50th birthday is happening Saturday. It's a surprise party. Hopefully he doesn't watch this podcast. I just realized, because actually there is a small chance. Anywho, I was originally going to drive today. Today's Thursday. Yep. So originally I was going to drive today. My wife got sick when we got home, and I'm, exhausted. So, but the problem is, like, it's hard to figure out a time to do it now because we have the show tomorrow afternoon. It's it's right in the middle of the day. It's the worst part, because ideally I would leave late morning, arrive mid-afternoon, and I guess I could pull over and do it in the car, but that's not ideal. And so I went back, and the friend I'm staying with, I was talking to him, and I think what I'm going to do is leave early tomorrow. So I'll probably be out tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And I should arrive, if I leave at 7, I should arrive in Boston between noon and 1. If I don't get there by 1, I will do the show from the car. Hopefully I get there by 1. I can do it from my friend's house, like a normal show, and it shouldn't matter. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there in case you're wondering why I'm in a vehicle when the show starts. Yeah, it happens. I won't be driving. I'll pull over, obviously.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So that means, as Paul just noted, tomorrow is Friday. I thought today was Friday for a while. At 1 p.m., we'll be doing the live show from either the side of the highway or somewhere else. And hopefully the outro plays, and have yourselves a wonderful Thursday. Hey, it worked.
Hooray!